everyone, it's Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. If you're wondering about my outfit, thank you. I've been watching Daisy Jones and the Six and I'm like, it's just my whole personality. It's gonna be my whole personality this whole month. So today we're gonna be talking about February. And February was one of those months where it's just like, I feel like it was a lot of grinding, but not a lot of things to show for it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. One of the things I'm most excited about is that I got to reveal the full dust jacket cover of The Odds. So you can see the front, you can see the back, you can see all the cutesy little dopey frogs, and I absolutely adore it. It does take place in a swamp, and I just think that my cover art is like absolutely nailed. Like the kind of creepy but goofy swamp vibes. Now let's move on to current work in progresses. We have Project Pyro up first, and my goal was to complete 2 chapters in Project Pyro for February, and I did that. It's still very, very messy. My second drafts are always something. I really think that my first drafts are actually what people consider draft zeros, or like glorified outlines, because they are just so like, and this character goes to this place and has this thought and thinks about this and then says this and then we walk to this place. Like that's what my first drafts really look like. And then it's like riddled with placeholders like fill in description here or add dialogue here. It's a process, okay? My books literally come together layer by layer. So a lot of my second draft is filling in some of those placeholders, filling in more dialogue, and filling in description, which I don't know about you guys, but description and like inner thoughts, monologue always slows me down because I always want them to be like pretty and perfect. And this is my second draft, so I don't need to be worrying about pretty and perfect yet. Really, I see my second draft as filling out whatever in the story I did not fill in the first draft. So it's just bulking basically, because I sparsely write a first draft. Draft 3 is where we make things pretty and metaphoric and voicey and all that stuff. So I always find myself getting caught up though in the second draft on wanting to make things pretty right away, and it's like, no, we're working on the story, we're not working on the writing craft. Because I think writing a book, well no, I know writing a book is 2 separate skills. You have your storycraft skills and you have your writing skills, and my first 2 drafts focus on storycraft skills, and then I do all the pretty stuff later. I will say that this book has the strongest voice that I have written since The Glass Witch, which makes me really happy because that book just flowed. Like I wrote that so easily. Adelaide's voice just came to me, and I feel like it's the exact same way with my main character in this story. She just talks to me. She talks through my voice and then I just type it out. It's wonderful. I didn't have that with The Odds. I really had to work to find the voice, probably because it was in third person and I like writing in first. So, and this one is reverting back to first person, so that just helps a lot, I think, with the voice. But given that, I'm also kind of worried, again, this is like a third draft problem, but I'm finding myself getting stuck on making sure like I am dispersing like inner monologue and description with like action and what the character is doing, which I shouldn't be worrying about yet. I know this, I shouldn't be worrying about it, but I still am. I'm like, oh, well, she's had a monologue for like 2 paragraphs, and then we go to a description for like a paragraph. Is that too much? Like, do we need to like have her doing something in between? For whatever reason, I'm getting very hung up on it. So things are going slowly, but they're going well. Since I'm working on 2 projects, I'm really not beating myself up about the pace in which this is going, but I would really like to work on in March, spending more time on both projects. In a perfect world, I work on writing like 4 to 5 hours a day. You know what I mean? But working on 2 projects, it's like, okay, so are we gonna do 8 hours? We're gonna double it for both, and that's just like not usually feasible, seeing as I also have like emails and administrative stuff to do, and then also YouTube stuff on top of that, and then like, you know, chronically ill, so I have like half the amount of days of an able-bodied person. So like I'm trying to schedule lots of things, and it's making everything go slow, and I'm trying to be okay with that. I'm trying, I really am. I know it's fine. I'm not on deadline with anything right now, so there's no reason to stress, but it's still in the forefront of my mind that like I need to get one of these projects out. You know, if I want an income for this year and next year, I need to sell something. So I need to find a way to spend more time per project, because right now it's like I'm spending maybe 4 to 5 hours total on both of them, splitting them up, and that's just not, I'm not getting as much done as I need to. So I gotta figure something out. I don't know. maybe I'm not gonna figure anything out and I'm just gonna keep complaining about this to you every month, so we'll see, I'll keep you updated. Then my second project, my middle grade project, I think I'm gonna share a tiny bit more this month just because I feel where I'm at with the work that I've done, that this is real, it's happening. For those of you who maybe this is your first video, I'm trying to work on the option in my contract with Scholastic. They bought 2 books for me, 2 middle grades, The Glass Witch and The Odds. The Odds is coming out this year in September. So the next middle grade I write, they get to see first. And they want to see a couple chapters, a synopsis, and a query. And now I've worked on it so much and I've gotten to the point where I'm in love with the story. And I feel like whether or not Scholastic is like, yes, we love this, we'll buy this will be your next book, I'm still gonna write the whole thing because I want to write it for me, because I have really fallen in love with the idea. And if Scholastic doesn't want it, we'll take it wide, and I'm sure we'll pitch it to other publishing houses, but that doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter to me because this is a book that I am now very passionate about and very much so want to write, and I want to tell this story whether or not anyone else reads it, if it gets published or not. Like, it is now a heart book. I'll give you a little tease. So this is my upper middle grade horror that I am currently calling Bitter Bones. It is a working title. I'm still kind of keeping what it's about close to my chest because things might change, but yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm gonna be exploring my personal body horror. I mean, my body is an actual horror, so it just lends itself very easily to like writing horror. I'm giving the main character like tons of extra bones and ribs, you know, like what I have. And I think that will lend itself nicely to a bit of a scare. But I've really been intrigued with kind of it's not a newer genre, but I think it's had a re-emergence, this like social horror genre where we take like current societal issues going on and you just like write a story through the lens of horror and explore that. I think that is just so powerful, and I'm kind of doing that a little bit with Project Pyro, even though I consider that very much so more of a thriller. It definitely has like social horror elements, whereas this one I'm leaning full horror. I'm leaning full horror, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited, and yeah, I'm writing a lot of dark stuff right now, like 2 projects back to back that are dark and gritty and stabby. I can see myself in 2024 writing the most ridiculous fluffy middle grade ever. Like, I feel like I'm gonna need a break after all this darkness and revert back to like a goofy idea. I actually have like a little tease of it. Remember how The Odds, before it was named, was like the Odd book, so I called it Tobe. This is a secret organization book, Sob. I think is like hilarious. I might revert to writing that next year just because I'm gonna need something goofy and ridiculous, and it definitely has the Odds vibe with the goofy whimsical ridiculousness, and I might need that after all of this, but right now I'm living in the grit. I'm living in the dark abyss and I'm loving it. Live, laugh, loving. Moving on. Oh wait, not moving on. I didn't even tell you what I did with it. So this month I really worked hard on doing a lot of character building, which was so great. I think that's when I fell in love, was when I was like really building up these characters and making them people. And not only that, figuring out the dynamic between all of them, how they play off each other, the alliances and the betrayals and the crushes and like all of this fun stuff. I think that's when it really became real for me, is when they became people. So I also figured out some of the horror elements. I mean, it's like a magic system, right? Horror is like a magic system. I'm just figuring out how much I want to reveal and how much I want to remain mysterious, because I found in my horrors, I like things to be more mysterious. I find in horrors that don't work for me, it's usually in the 3rd act when it's like, this is the monster and this is how it works and this is how it ticks and this is why it does what it does. And then I'm just like, oh, well, yeah, now it's not creepy anymore because I know how it works. So I'm trying to figure out how much of the magic system horror stuff I want to reveal and how much I want to keep, you know, below the iceberg. You know what I'm talking about? Like the iceberg is below the sea. Terrible metaphor. Okay, but I'm working on that. figuring out a balance there. I have not started outlining yet, but I have listed out all of the setting places that I think my characters could go and like why they would be going there. And that was really fun. Now that I have all that listed out, I'm gonna start in March, which I've already kind of started, plotting. I have to, what I'm doing, okay, first of all, back up. If you are interested in my process, I do have an entire playlist on my channel where I talk about processes of how I outline, how I put things together, how I prep for a first draft. I will link that down below, but yeah, that's where I talk about all of this stuff for the most part. But I find it really helpful to kind of move backwards. So I find my villains, I know what my villain's motivation is, what they want, and then I'm kind of like moving backwards from there to the beginning so everything layers nicely. So once I get the villains like plan this done to whatever this is, once I get that, then I'll start outlining and I'll go like this. Does that make sense? Everyone got that? Okay, good. Do you see now why I don't do how-to videos? Okay, that's all the writing stuff. Let's move on to some life stuff. I don't really feel like I have that much to talk about because most of it was like I was either ill or I was working on these 2 projects. Other than that, only 2 pieces of media were really big parts of my like life this month. I'm still playing Ooblets, which is the video game that I talked about last month. It's incredible. I'm just very, very addicted. It's like Pokemon, but instead of like mean defeating battles, you do like dance battles, which is really funny. And you grow the Ooblets in your garden and there's different types to get. And it's just, oh, it's just beautiful. Another piece of media I enjoyed was Stolen Youth. This is a documentary on a cult that happened at the, I think it's the Elizabeth Lawrence College in New York. It's like a very like artsy fartsy school, and this girl's dad moved into her like dorm house situation with like 8 other kids and started a cult for the next like 10-15 years, like took over these kids' lives, and it was very interesting. I also watched a couple other things I didn't enjoy as much, but like I still watch them, so they're a little bit older. I watched The Devil You Know, which is about the whole like Pazuzu murders, like the satanic, yeah, I don't know, that was a whole vibe. That one I didn't enjoy as much because it left me feeling like gritty and kind of like, oh. And then maybe some of you guys would be intrigued by this. I watched Megan, and I don't know. It was fine. I didn't really like it, but like it was something I watched. I'm trying to watch things that remind me of my middle grade horror that I'm working on right now, but like, I don't know. I think it's one of those like campy horrors, and I'm not a big horror film person like at all. First of all, I'm a huge scaredy cat, so I don't watch films because I find them too immersive, whereas books you could just like close it if you get scared, you know what I mean? So I'm new to all of the horror genres of movies, and I think this was more on like the camp side, and I don't know if I like camp enough to watch a movie, you know what I mean? So I'm discovering the genre is what I'm saying. People who love horror and who love camp are saying this is like the best campy horror movie out there, so don't listen to me. Okay, and then on to the books. I read some really, really great books this month. The first one I want to talk about is Raybearer. I'm actually reading the second book right now, Redemptor, and this is just incredible. It's so incredible. It is a YA fantasy that follows a girl who has to make the prince of this country fall in love with her and then kill him once he does. It very much so plays with that trope. And the world building is the best world building I have read in YA fantasy, and I don't even know how long. It's so fantastic. It's so different. There's like this thing where the prince forms this really tight bond with 11 others, and those 11 people are like the rulers of the whole nation together, and they can like feel each other's thoughts, and they all have like powers, and like it's just, I can't explain it, but it's so cool. And if you like YA high fantasy, or not even YA, if you like high fantasy, you will like this book. The next book is kind of also my personality right now, and that is Blood Debts, and I'm so sorry it is not out yet, but you guys need to pre-order it. It is fantastic. This is one that everyone is talking about, saying it's like a super dramatic soapy CW, like the Vampire Diary witches, all in New Orleans, like fighting families, like it's that vibe. And that's exactly what it is. This is the most dramatic, wild book I have ever read in my life. So you need to go into it with the right expectations. This is just gonna be a ride, and oh my gosh, you will have so much fun. I swear, I was like texting my friends. I was like, it's been 72 hours in the book and we've had like 4 car crashes and 3 explosions and a home invasion and a fight and like zombies and like all, it's the best. Okay, I also want to throw us back a little bit and let's talk about scary stories to tell in the dark. You guys remember these? Those like horrific covers? They still scare me to this day. I wanted to reread some like classic middle grade horror just to like, you know, get myself in the vibe, and I was like, well, I'm gonna buy all 3 of them, right? And I kept debating. I was like, do I want these pretty new illustrations by Brent Hellquist, the guy who did the illustrations for like the series of unfortunate events? He re-illustrated these. I was like, ooh, I could have that, or I could have the nostalgic kind. But then I was like, no, those would scare me being on my bookshelf. And I tell you what, I read all 3 of these books in like one day, and like some of these stories are bangers, like still. Some of them are actually terrifying. Like I'm trying to think of the one that scares me to this day. It's about the girl in the car. Yes, okay, High Beams. I hate this story. This scares me to this day. Like, I think it's because it's like a realistic thing that could really happen. So creepy. Yeah, some of these were like really gritty and gory. Like this is pitched for kids that are like in 3rd grade, so like 8 years old. And one of the stories was like about a dude who got mad at his wife, and so he took her and like ground her into sausages and was like feeding her to the town. And I was like, no wonder I'm messed up. Also, some of the stories that are supposed to be funny actually made me laugh out loud. Like they're very much so like dad humor stories. So I don't know, I was shocked. These were written in like the early 80s and still slap. All right, getting closer to the end of the list, we have Lockwood and Co., which I started at the behest of my critique partner who read these when she was younger and they scared her very badly. So she's like, I don't know if these are horror, but if you're looking for middle grade horror, like try these. And I really enjoyed the story. So I think this is set in a world like similar to ours, but ghosts are kind of everywhere, and for whatever reason the only people that can vanquish them are children. So there are these companies run by adults, but they use children to go into these haunted houses and like eradicate the ghosts. And this just has very much so like Sherlock Holmes vibes mixed with, I don't know, Ghostbusters. Like I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It felt just like very English, very like we're gonna solve this mystery and put the puzzle pieces together, and that's like very my vibe. Like I very much so love a mystery plot or a mystery subplot. Like that's my favorite kind of book. The action was great. Like the pacing was so great. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I think it's like a 5-book series, so I've got the rest like loaded up on my phone ready to listen to. And yeah, I'm excited. I know it's a TV show too. I haven't looked into it. Actually, I watched the trailer and it does look a little bit campy. I don't know if I'm gonna get to the TV show, but I'm definitely continuing with the book series. Okay, and the last thing I read, I'm kind of late to the party, but I did kind of get obsessed for a little bit. And that is the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox. I read both of the books in the series that are already available. This is like a sci-fi dark academia. That's what this is. And it is literally all vibes, all character, very little plot. And it is just about a bunch of really beautiful, rich people sniping at each other for like 400 pages and being very smart and pretentious and low-key kind of magical. And I have no words. I'm one of those people that really loves this, and I have nothing to say. I had such a good time. Those were all of the loved books that I had this month, and you know, all the reading and all the writing, and you know, basically my whole February. I would chuck that out to a win. So in the comments down below, let me know how your February went. Don't forget to check out that playlist I linked down below if you're interested in watching or knowing a little bit more about my writing process. Pre-order links for the odds are down below. It comes out September 19th and I'm super pumped about it. And of course you can always order the Glass Witch wherever books are sold. Well, Chanty Mouse came to join us, Camille. You show him your weird little face, your weird little hobgoblin face. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!